So here I'm going to be describing the different homeworks that we've sent out. We've got 3 different types, and I'll just be giving you a brief description of what you are expected to turn in, how you're expected to turn it in, and maybe some helpful hints on how to get it done. So the first one is the alarm. I've created a simple diagram to help you guys figure out what should be going where. So in this case we have a home security alarm. When somebody opens the door, I want it to trip an alarm in your program, which is going to cause the lights to flash on and off, right? If somebody happens to close the door, I want the light to stay on but not turn off. So the light doesn't turn off until the user has inputted an acknowledgement on 0.1, and then once that acknowledgement comes into your program, then the light can turn off. Now, you know, I've already shown you how to create a flashing light in the previous video, so just figure out how you want these, how you want to deal with those different inputs and the 2 different states of the light. 3 states. There's the off state, there's the blinking state, and there's the always on state. The next homework is the conveyor belt. This is going to be similar to what I demoed to you with this guy. I think his eye didn't screen. Okay, never mind. It's the demo that you've seen, and there's also going to be a video posted of it. So what I want is when you press the first, when you activate the button with input 0.1, I want it to start your conveyor belt. In this case, the motor is Q0.0. When a part reaches proximity sensor 1, and no, you can just simulate this part reaching the proximity sensor by activating those input bits in the simulator. So input 0.3 and 0.4. So when it reaches the first part, I want it to go to a timer switch where it can either wait for 2 seconds or for 5 seconds, depending on what state that switch is in. So let's say if the timer switch, which is I0.5, is a 0 bit, I want it to wait for 2 seconds. And if it's in if it's in a 1, then I want it to wait for 5 seconds. Once that's happened, I want the part to move on. Just simulate that by turning off proximity sensor 1 and turning on proximity sensor 2. When it reaches proximity sensor 2, I want you to activate a counter. This counter, once the counter reaches 3 at the proximity sensor 2, the conveyor should stop moving, and the only way to start the conveyor again should be when the user resets the counter. So if the counter has been tripped and the user presses activate again, the conveyor should not move. It should only move if the counter is at 0, or if it's below 3. For the last one, we have a mixing device. You have 2 liquids on tap. Through tap 1, which is I0.0, you have a liquid with a certain limit, limit 1. And through tap 2, I0.2, you can have a liquid with a limit which is limit 2. These limits are, let's see, 3 ounces each, so maybe use a counter for that. Now, when you activate a tap, it's going to pour 1 ounce into the mixer. The mixer should only start when the user presses the power button, but it shouldn't start if there are less than 2 ounces present. So you could use counters for your limits, and also another one for your mixer, right? So once you have those at least 2 ounces in your container, pressing the power button will activate your mixer. It should run for 5 seconds. right? Using a timer. And after that, it turns off the mixer and it drains the liquid, which is essentially like resetting the counter. Resetting that counter should also reset your 2 limit counters at the beginning, so you can pour more liquids in. For the limit 1 and limit 2, set them to 3 ounces each. So again, using counters. And that's it. That's a brief description of your homeworks. Now, you're going to be programming them in your OB1 through Portal. It's going to save, make sure you know where it's saving your code. Usually it's in an automation folder in My Documents. If you can find your project, it might be project 1, go into it, create a text file, text document, and just put in the names of the people in your group so we know who submitted that specific project. And then go back and then zip that whole folder. You want to email that folder to Raja. She'll only be about 2 or 3 MB, and that is going to be how you submit your homeworks, preferably. You can also give them directly to him from your flash drive.
It's due on the 16th of April for all of them. So I'll be posting this online in a couple of days from today. Today's the 29th of March, and I'll be doing something before the 30th or maybe 31st. So technically you have 2 weeks, and we have 4 computers in the basement lab which has got the software. I'll be giving you material online for you to look at. You have these videos to watch, and then what you'd be doing is you would be using those resources and coming here with your group when myself or Yamo is here in the lab, and you guys will be working in a group. So we would not be able to give you assistance right there, but if you have any questions you can ask us and we'll be able to get in touch with you. So you would be working on it, you'd save this file, email it to me on the 16th, it's due on the 16th. You can verify anything you want before that, and on the 16th I can either have an email with your group name and a zip file folder, or one of your group members comes in with a flash drive to my office and you can give it to me on the 16th. So either one which can work, you guys can figure it out. I'll post the groups and the assignments which is due for you guys together, and we also have a common PLC simulation exercise for each of you guys. So I'd have Umar do that in another video. He'll just tell you what is expected of that video, and that'll also be part of your homework, and I'll post that too online. So I think that's basically what you need in terms of knowing for your grades for the lab.
You can use the simulation video to test your program, so make sure before you turn it in that it actually runs, and try and make sure that you're running all cases, so just when you're debugging your program there isn't something weird going on when certain things happen. So use that simulator to test your programs.